Most people usually stir-fry or make a salad with bitter melon, but this method completely changes everything. The first time I saw it, I couldn't believe my eyes. And once you try it, you might never cook bitter melon the old way again. Let's get started. First, wash 2 medium-sized bitter melons thoroughly. They have many small grooves that can trap dirt and impurities, so don't skip this step, even if they look clean. After washing, trim off the ends. The ends are usually tough and fibrous, which can make the texture unpleasant. Keeping them will make the dish a bit stringy and reduce tenderness. Next, cut the bitter melon in half. Use a spoon to scoop out the inner seeds and pulp. At this point, you'll notice a white membrane at the bottom. This is where most of the bitterness is concentrated. But the interesting part is, it's also packed with nutrients. So there are 2 options. If you enjoy the bitterness, leave it. If you can't handle it, scrape it off. What about you? Do you prefer bitter melon bitter or mild? Comment below and let us know. Set aside. Now, bring a pot of water to a boil. Once boiling, add 1 teaspoon of salt. This small step helps the bitter melon have more flavor right from the inside. Next, add 1 teaspoon of cooking oil. This is a trick many people overlook, but it helps the bitter melon maintain a bright green color, making it look stunning after blanching. Then add the bitter melon and blanch for exactly 1 minute. No more, no less. Blanching too long will make it lose its crunch, while too short won't be effective. This step helps remove some oxalic acid and keeps the bitter melon fresh and crisp. When the time is up, immediately remove the bitter melon. And this step is crucial. Immerse it in cold water. The cold shock stops the cooking process immediately, keeping the bitter melon crisp and the color vibrant. If you skip this step, the bitter melon can become soft and lose its bright green color. Soak for about 1 to 2 minutes until it's no longer hot to the touch. At this point, you'll see the bitter melon retaining a beautiful green color and still maintaining its crunch. Place it on a cutting board. Cut in half, then slice into thin strips. Actually, the bitterness of bitter melon depends a lot on your initial selection. Choose fruits that are straight, slightly larger, and firm. This makes preparation easier and reduces fibrous parts. More importantly, look at the color. Dark green bitter melons have a pronounced bitter taste, perfect for those who enjoy the original flavor. Lighter green fruits are milder and easier to eat, especially suitable for beginners. Knowing how to pick the right one allows you to enjoy bitter melon without much extra preparation. But we're not done. Cut the bitter melon into small dice. This step helps the bitter melon absorb seasoning evenly and makes it much more delicious. After dicing, put the bitter melon into a cloth bag. Squeeze out some water, but don't squeeze it completely dry. Many people overlook this, but the liquid should not be discarded. It still contains soluble nutrients and the natural flavor of bitter melon. Save it to use later for the sauce. It will make the dish richer and more flavorful. Place the squeezed bitter melon in a large bowl and set aside. Next, prepare about 50 to 100 grams of pork. Slice it thinly for easier mincing. Mince the meat just right, so it blends perfectly with the bitter melon, creating a tender texture while retaining the natural sweetness of the pork. Add the pork to the bitter melon. Prepare 100 grams of fresh carrot, washed thoroughly. Slice thinly, then cut into strips. Finally, dice into small cubes. The trick here is, the smaller the cut, the better the carrot absorbs seasoning, combining perfectly with the bitter melon, so each bite is crisp and naturally sweet. Add the prepared carrots to the bitter melon. Just looking at it, you can see the vibrant, appetizing colors. Because bitter melon is cooling, I add a little fresh ginger to balance it, making the dish not only more pleasant to eat, but also fragrant throughout the kitchen. Mince the ginger finely so its essence spreads fully, balancing the bitterness while enhancing the natural flavor. making the dish enticing from the first aroma. Prepare a few fresh spring onions. Chop the white parts finely. Combine with the minced ginger and add to the bowl with bitter melon. This is the secret to making the dish fragrant and perfectly balanced. Chop the green parts of the spring onions. Set aside in a bowl to sprinkle on top later. It adds color and aroma, making the dish visually appealing and tempting. Now we start seasoning the bitter melon. 1/2 teaspoon salt highlights the natural flavors of bitter melon and carrot. 1/4 teaspoon seasoning powder adds natural sweetness from the meat and vegetables, harmonizing the dish. 1/4 teaspoon 5-spice powder gives a characteristic aroma, stimulating the appetite and making the dish instantly attractive. 1 tablespoon light soy sauce adds depth while balancing mild saltiness, so you don't need too much salt to achieve full flavor. 1 tablespoon oyster sauce boosts umami, making the dish rich in taste and fragrance, so each bite of bitter melon, pork, and carrot blends perfectly. Mix everything thoroughly to let the seasonings penetrate, then let it rest for about 15 minutes. This small trick ensures that each piece of bitter melon, after cooking, is full of flavor, fragrant, and irresistibly delicious. You'll notice the difference immediately. While waiting for the bitter melon to absorb the seasoning, let's prepare a fresh red bell pepper. Turn the pepper over and observe the natural vertical ridges to make it easier to remove the seeds. Carefully use a knife to remove the stem and all the seeds inside, keeping only the plump, naturally sweet flesh of the pepper. Next, cut the pepper lengthwise into thin strips. Then continue to dice it into small, delicate cubes. Place the bell pepper in a bowl and set it aside for later. Prepare a few cloves of garlic. Slice them thinly. Then finely chop them. Next, make the cornstarch mixture. Take a small bowl and add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Add 100 milliliters of water, stir well, and set aside for later use. At this point, the bitter melon mixture has fully absorbed the seasoning. Add a little cornstarch to help bind the mixture. You don't need much, just enough to form into balls. Add about 2 to 3 tablespoons and mix well. Now, take small portions roughly the size of your palm. Roll them into balls. Then, gently tap them between your hands several times to tighten the interior structure, preventing them from falling apart. Form all the bitter melon into balls like this. Place the bitter melon balls in a deep plate. Be careful not to place them too close together. Once arranged, put the plate into a steamer with boiling water. Steam on high heat for 12 minutes. While waiting for the steaming, let's make the sauce. Add oil to a pan and heat it. Then add the garlic and sauté until fragrant. Next, add the red bell pepper and stir-fry evenly. It's nice to know that we see each other all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can subscribe by clicking the subscribe button. It's great to see your support. When the bell pepper is just cooked, start seasoning. Add 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Stir well to release the aroma. Where are you watching from? Please leave a comment to let me know. Then pour in the bitter melon juice that was squeezed out earlier. Simmer on medium heat until it boils. Once boiling, add the cornstarch mixture. The cornstarch thickens the sauce, making it smooth and evenly coating each bitter melon ball. Stir until boiling. The sauce is now perfectly fragrant. Then turn off the heat. At this point, the bitter melon balls have finished steaming. Open the lid, and immediately a stream of hot steam rises, carrying the rich aroma of bitter melon, ginger, and scallions, making you want to taste it right away. Now, pour the sauce over the bitter melon balls. It smells incredible. The fragrance of the bitter melon is wonderfully inviting. Pour each spoonful of the smooth sauce over the steamed balls, and instantly, each one is coated with a glossy layer of rich brown-red sauce. As the sauce drips down, it gently embraces each ball, seeping into every crevice, ensuring each bite is fully flavored. The fragrant aroma of garlic, ginger, red pepper, and oyster sauce fills the air, making it irresistible. Finally, sprinkle with scallions for garnish. Just looking at it makes your mouth water. You can't wait to take a bite. The simple bitter melon meatballs are now complete. The sauce clings just right, not too thin, not too thick. Each bite is tender, keeping the natural sweetness of the carrot, the rich flavor of the meat, and the refreshing, mildly bitter taste of the bitter melon. A perfect harmony that makes the dish immediately addictive. Don't just stir-fry or toss bitter melon anymore. Try this method and you'll find it incredibly delicious. It's both tasty and nutritious. Each bite is irresistible, and the more you eat, the more you want. Especially when you pour this sauce over rice or noodles. It's absolutely amazing. The video ends here. If you have any comments, please leave a comment below. If you find the video interesting, please give me a like. Don't forget to share it with your relatives and friends. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Goodbye. See you in the next video.